Hey VC, Jeff here. Just got some things in from the record store locally that I wanted to show. I had to go into town, and I went to. I've mentioned before. There's probably what 3, 4 main record stores in my area. They all are really kind of different from each other. So it depends on where I am in town as to which one I try to hit. And so I had to go down to this part of town. Went into this record store. Hadn't been there in a couple weeks, and so I went in there, and of course with my wife out of town right now, I don't have any hindrances to how much time I got. But anyway, speaking of that, real quick, anybody out there know of any other VC members in the South Carolina area, specifically somewhere in the Columbia area? Because I am going to be going down in a couple weeks to stay with my wife for a couple weeks. And so she's about an hour from Columbia. So does anybody know of anybody in the BC video makers, record collectors that are in that area? She's actually in the town called Orangeburg, which is a little less than an hour, I think, from Columbia, and a little bit further from that to whatever that next big town is over. Anyway, if there are anybody, let me know, because I'm going to be down there. It might be interesting to hook up with somebody if there's anybody in the general area. From what I could tell on the map, there appears to be a handful of record stores in the Orangeburg area where I'll be. So we'll see. And if not, we are definitely going to make it to Columbia, a weekend or 2 or 3 to do some sightseeing and shopping. But anyway, I went to my local store, and I went and I hit all the different areas. So I picked up a couple things. I stuck with just bought some used stuff that I thought were decent prices and supporting local business. First, I hit the new releases of what they've got, the new used stuff that they got in. And I picked up a copy of Johnny the Fox by Thin Lizzy. Now, this album I saw a few months ago in that one video. I think I mentioned it, but it was all kind of messed up. The album was all messed up, and so I didn't buy it at that particular time. This one, the album, the cover, there's a slice on the back. Barely can notice it if you hit the light. But the cover, other than that, there's like no ring wear or anything. It does have a corner notch, but the album and everything in it were just near perfect. So I grabbed that this time, getting my beefing up my Thin Lizzy selections there a little more. And so I went ahead and grabbed this. This was in the newly acquired new releases. So then I'm going around the store basically in alphabetical order. I think is how I've got most of these. There's only a couple here, but I went ahead and grabbed this. I have seen this in there before. Sammy Hagar Rematch. I remember seeing this in the bins when it was new back in the day all the time. Never did buy it because it's just a compilation. It's a best of Sammy Hagar. Back in the day, I think I was buying his albums. So I never really bought any of the, this best of that came out. And this would have been the best of the Capitol years. So this is before he got signed to Geffen, before, the whole, heavy metal and Only One Way to Rock and all that stuff. This is the early years, which I love these early years. And so this is a best of. Now, really, I still probably wouldn't buy best of because I have all of the albums. But in this case, there's one song on here that's not on any other album. It has been reissued on CDs many times, but on vinyl, it's not. And that is his version of I've Done Everything for You, which of course we know later went on to be a huge hit for Rick Springfield, written by Sammy Hagar, performed by Sammy Hagar in 1979, released as a single. I don't think it was ever, I could not find where it was ever on a vinyl release. It was a single, 7-inch single. And it was later added to some of the comps in the past, 15 years, Essential and Red and all these other compilations that had that song on it. But as far as I could tell from looking it up, this is really the only album that it had ever appeared on vinyl, aside from, like I said, a single, a 7-inch single. So anyway, it's a best of that's got a song on here that is great to have, and it was in superb condition. And so it was a cheap, did they ever play this? I don't know. Superb, even the cover, just amazing. So I went ahead and grabbed that because, again, it was just a few dollars. It was under $10. All of these were under $10, I think, except the Thin Lizzy. And then this one, I was like, okay, here's one that, Billy Squier, Tail of the Tape. Very first Billy Squier. And I honestly think I've never heard this album before. Seen it. Back when, you know, The Stroke was a big hit and everything, he only had the 2 albums in there. So you had this and, you know, those 2 albums. So I saw it all the time, never owned it, never listened to it, just finished listening to it. And I'm thinking, hey, it's a pretty good album. I mean, you can see the potential is there. Now, I picked up the Piper albums, which was the band he was in before he went solo. Gotta admit, the Piper stuff was not very great. It wasn't that good. This at least showed progress. It went from Piper to you could see where the Billy Squier was coming. And so you could definitely see that he had the potential there. And again, the album looked brand new. And so I'm just thinking, and it sounds brand new. I dropped the needle on this. I don't hear no pops, cracks, or nothing. I am like, wow. For an album from 1980, obviously they took good care of it. Probably never played it. And it's got some decent stuff. You know, it shows the potential. So I was glad to have that. Then I make it around to my other favorite section. It's become my favorite because I keep buying stuff from it. They have a whole section called Yacht Rock. And I picked up another Kenny G. Look, hype sticker. It's got the shrink on it. You know, it's open. It's got the shrink on it. But look at that. JC, look, a hype sticker, JC. Look at that. Anyway, Dual Tones. I think this was, aside from the very first Kenny G album, I think I have 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I have all the way up through the live album. I don't have the live album, which is one I do want, but I have all the other albums up to the live album. So all the stuff that I cut my teeth on back in the 80s, I probably discovered him in this time frame. I think most of these had been out, probably even the live album by the time I got around to getting into him. And so when I saw this, I'm like, hey, you know, because last time I was at that record store, I bought, 2 Kenny G albums, the 2 prior to this. And earlier than that, I had bought another one, maybe not from that store. But anyway, yeah, I know, make fun of me. But again, excellent condition. I love this album. I love these albums back in the day. This was the early jazz stuff I was getting into back in the 80s. It was contemporary jazz I was into more than traditional. So when I saw this, it was like right in front. And I'm like, and it was under $10. You'd say, I wouldn't pay $1 for that. Of course not. But anyway, it's a good album. I like it. I love this stuff back in the day. I love the live album. Would like to get that live album one day. I still have the VHS of that out in my box of stuff. But there you go. I just picked up 4 quick under $10 albums from the local store to fill in some of my classic rock section. And it was great stuff. I'm going to continue listening to this as we go through the day. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks a lot for watching. Rock on and rock hard.